if you're not taking care, or if you're presenting your property in not a proper way, how you expect the tenant respect your property, because they don't see that you don't have a pride in that, right?
Exactly. All right. Hello. Welcome to KT Confidential, the real estate podcast, episode 125. I'm Ariel Cormendi, and I'm joined today by Vishal Kapoor. Welcome, Vish. Good morning.
Good morning, Ariel. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Happy to have you on. And I always love introducing a new face to the team and a new face to the podcast. And Adrian and I were scheduled to film a podcast tomorrow. And I said, well, you know what? It's a nice, bright, sunshiny day. I'm in the mood to do a podcast today, and thought it would be nice to have some of the new faces join as well. So thanks for joining the show. Before we get into today's topic, which is not going to be a very long discussion, but we're going to talk about hiring a realtor to find a tenant. So if you're a landlord or if you're considering purchasing an investment property, what's that process look like from a realtor's perspective in terms of finding a tenant? And, if you're a landlord, should you hire a realtor to help you find a tenant? So that's going to be our real estate topic today. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. But, since you are relatively new to the team, you've been with us for, we're closing in on 2 months now, and you've been really busy since you've joined. So we haven't had a lot of time to introduce you and integrate you into social media yet. But anybody that's listening or watching might want a little bit to know a little bit about you. So why don't you tell us who is Vishal Kapoor? Give us your real estate background, your personal background. Maybe tell us why you joined the team, and I've got a few personal questions that I'm going to ask you too. So why don't you give everybody the insights?
Well, thank you so much, Ariel. I always admire the KT team, and that's the reason I joined, and that's how I start with. Regarding me, I'm a simple family man, community man. That's what I do. I love to volunteer. I serve in Oakville Milton Real Estate Board, serving as a vice president this year. I said the president-elect this year. Next year is going to be president. In real estate for almost just going to be 9 years. I started my career as part-timer, and then soon I realized that, this is not a part-time job. This is a full-time job, need full dedication, because without that, you cannot serve your clients better. So then I parked my license, and then I came back 5.5 years ago, full time into this industry, and struggle in the starting, trying to manage. I used to manage a lot of people in my past career as a retail management professional, but coming out yourself and managing yourself, it was a little bit challenging as well. But slowly I grow. I made my base in the community, did a lot of volunteer work to bring my name out and providing value to people. That was my main motive. It was not so much how great I did and how many sales I'm doing it. It's more about how I can provide the value proposition to my clients. And that's how it started. And just like you guys, you inspired me a lot. And I started doing some videos online as well. And weekly, monthly, one time I was doing the daily FB Live just to get my name out. But also, just not to game out, it's providing the value to people. And it's not selling, more is, how I can help. If people have different questions, and content that was coming out is people asking questions every day. And what it helps me in, having myself the knowledge about it, because when you're presenting it, you have to learn fully. You have to research fully in order to present it. And that's what I did. So it helped me two ways helped me to grow as well as my audience, because I was providing value to them.
Well, I think you've done a really good job over the years. And when I think back to, because I remember maybe 5 years ago or so, we asked you to chip in and help us with some open houses. And I think that's really when you started getting going full time. And, so I was watching what you were doing and we've always been attracted to you in terms of a friendship level. But I noticed, you started being more social on Facebook, on Instagram, and you started a couple of Facebook groups. And then I saw that you were doing those weekly and monthly videos. And I said, well, you know what? Here's a guy that's putting the time and effort in, because a lot of people think it's easy to be a realtor, think that they can do it part-time. And I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But, it's very much you get out of it what you put into it kind of career. And sometimes, I interview a lot of people and now, we're a team of 12. So I can see the different dynamics of what people do during the day, and everybody has a different niche or something different that they like to do. But the point is, you have to try those things and you have to put the effort into those things. And I think that's what's made you a successful realtor, is that you've put that time, that effort. And to your point, you're not out there just selling. You're out there providing some information that's valuable to people, stuff that people like to watch and listen to. So that's I believe what's really helped you grow your career. So kudos to you on doing that. Now, what was your tipping point when you realized? So when you got your license 9 years ago. Because I just interviewed somebody that is currently a part-time realtor and wanted to join our team, but has another job. And I said, because that's wouldn't be a fit for us in that sense. But what was your tipping point when you realized, hey, I'm doing this part-time, but it's not going to work this way?
Well, the biggest thing come out is definitely about financials. That when you started doing it part-time and you trying to adjust your time, not according to your client's time, like when they're available. So I was in retail. I used to work for Staples, and lucky was with the Staples, I get the alternate weekends off. So that and the other day. So I was able to manage it. It's not like I was not able to manage it, but at the same time, it was limited. The time was limited for me to serve my clients. On top of that, researching, knowing the neighborhood, knowing the type of houses, how's the market doing, all that takes time to understand. And that was the things like, I sat down with Bill, our broker and broker owner for C21 Miller, and we have discussed that. And he's seen the potential in me. And it says, well, you're a great guy, but I can tell you, as long as you have those crutches with you, you might not able to walk, or you might not able to run. You might able to walk, but you will not run. So that hits to me and says, well, in that sense, I went back and do some research as well as look into my financials. And I saved money enough that if I'm not getting any commission for 1 year, still I can survive and do my financial obligations towards my family, as well as paying mortgage and rent, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's how it happens. And once I did that, then coming a full time, and then was no looking back. I think that's the best decision I made.
I can't remember what episode it was where Adrian and I talked specifically about becoming a realtor. And that's one of our recommendations, is that people have a and I don't want it to be a crutch for people, but you have to have enough money to pay your bills and support your family. And if you don't have that, you're probably going to resort to going back to a job that pays you a regular wage. Um, and, you take that 1 year and you work your ass off, because now in year two, you don't have that savings anymore. So if you work your ass off in year one, you're building up on that, and you've given yourself, 9 to 12 months, which really is enough to get yourself up and running. So what did you do for Staples?
I was a general manager there. So I was managing their store.
Like from a corporate level or from a store level, or?
So store level general manager.
Yep.
So I was managing the store located at 427 in Dundas.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was managing Future Shop, one of the biggest one in Trinity Commons in Brampton. And prior to that, I was sourced by Circuit City. And prior to that, I was IT consultant.
So in your retail experience, because Staples, obviously a big company, Future Shop, big company. How has that? Do you think that has helped you become a better realtor by having that experience, or is it irrelevant? Because I often think that people that have retail experience like that, I'm from the auto industry selling cars back in the day, and obviously, my history. But do you think that's helped you become a better realtor?
Actually, it did. Like, depending upon, it's become like twofold for me. First of all, customer service, because even as a general manager, it was my priority, training people how to do customer service, right? And a lot of time it's going to happen retail, the big rift go on people in the commission environment, they don't want to take a returns. And my point to those people my salespersons were, well, how many people returning it? Not everybody abusing the system. So why are you punishing other people for providing the service? And now we're looking to that online services like Amazon, everything. Return is not a problem. You don't like it, you send it back and everything. So customer services were always the focus point to me. And I always find the sales was pretty simple in the same term if you follow it. So we used to follow the policy called GEST. Greet, understand, educate, satisfied, and thank them. It was pretty simple. A way of teaching people how to do it. Second thing which helped me in real estate is Staples was pretty good in business planning and processes. So system and processes, having in this, we know that, we follow that system and process and how helpful they are in achieving the goals we want to achieve, right? Touch base with clients and, putting things in the pipeline when we're doing, preparing the house, when we're staging it, when we listing it, when we're doing a photograph, all that stuff, it's come into system process. So that really helped me in my business. Because if any corporate business you look into that, they have system and processes to follow in order to succeed. Yep. McDonald's is a prime example, right? Anybody come in and they can make the same French fries, same taste and everything. And
globally.
Exactly.
And it's funny you say that, because I was just talking about McDonald's in one of our recent team meetings. And, I know so many people that started there as a first job at McDonald's, and it's such a great place to work from that aspect, because you get trained on processes and systems, and they're very particular about and very strict on those processes and systems, and that sets a foundation. I do want to get off business talk a little bit and learn a little bit about Vishal, and so as you mentioned, you live in Oakville. Tell us a little bit about your family. Tell us a little bit about what you like to do when you're not working.
Well, that's my favorite topic as well. My wife, she's a elementary school teacher and Peel District School Board, and she's an ESL teacher. So she was always correcting my English. and I have blessed with two daughters. My elder one, she's second year university in UFT, and younger one in grade 8 and going 9, 13 going 30. That's what I can say. And yeah, so that's my small family. My parents. I'm from India, so my parents still there. My younger brother there. Over here, I live in North Oakville, and in my spare time, I love to do volunteer, as well as I love to play sports too. And during COVID, it did wonder, like we were playing tennis. I'm a squash player. I love to play squash, but because the courts were closed, so I started playing tennis. And when winter hits, we cannot play tennis. And if it's no ice on the ground, we were playing pickleball. That's the first time I played that game. It is a fantastic game. So I like racket sports, but I also a big cricket fan, and that's yeah. Like I love to have sports and in my free time, as well as like I like social element, like talking to people, picking their brains, and that's why I do the volunteer. So I get to know great people in my community. And it's so much so that, I was just met yesterday that I was playing tennis, and two people come in from the community. And before I say hi, and they said, "Oh, Vishal, I know you. You run this group and that group." And they start talking about, "I love your Good Morning Post" and all that stuff. And I said, "Wow, I can believe how impactful is this? Like in the small things which you do consistently, how it's impact people and how they see you." So thanks to people, give me some respect in the community as well, and even the counselors and everything. Anytime you reach out to them, they listen to me, or they things like I'm in person. I'm not I will say it's more love from the community, how they see people, and just to be yourself, and just try to help people. That's what I'll do.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good feeling when you can be a part of the community and not focusing on anything business related, but it gives back to you in that sense at some point or another as well. What is your favorite food?
What's my favorite food? Oh, love. I love food. So I try to different variety food. But yeah, definitely curry. I love goat curry. That's my one of the favorite food to go for when I'm eating out. Um, but in terms of international, I love pizza, different varieties. Not particular so general one. But now my daughter, she works in Fortino's in a bakery, and now she started making start from the scratch, and that's the best pizza can I have. So that's so those are my some favorite food.
Do you have a go-to restaurant or takeout place right now that you would get your curried goat?
Goat curry, it's hard to find actually. Not everywhere I go, I can get that exact kind of which I want. So I started cooking as well myself because I have the sense and I can, if I taste it, if I can sense it, I can make it. So that's how it works. But yeah, I like biryani as well. There's the biryani in Oakville. We didn't have many Indian restaurants in here, but in Milton, we have pretty good. There's the Silver Spoon there.
Yep.
Khana Khazana is the another one, which is you can get the good Indian food, authentic food.
Yep.
Those are two of my favorite. And then the Oakville Biryani House, just opened, changed the franchise. It used to be Hyderabad Biryani, but now Oakville. So that one, he's taking my suggestions and trying different things. So eventually he's going to get that, like, what good career like.
Where is your favorite place that you have ever traveled?
My favorite place I ever traveled. Good question. Actually, my favorite place I traveled is Vancouver.
Wow.
More so, I went for a training during Staples. Believe me or not, like, they sent me training all the way to Langley, BC, and it was a beautiful place. I love that area. The other area, if I have to go, because I came from hot country, so for me, going to the hot places is not so much kind of things. I like cold, or like the pleasant weather, I should say, not too cold either. So, yeah, for me, like, that's one place. I love Montreal. I went to Montreal. I like the area. In my bucket list, I have to go Prince Edward Island. I'm dying to go there and see that red sand dune over there.
I'm surprised.
The other favorite place is Dubai. That's a beautiful place as well.
Well, you just said you don't like the heat, and man, it's hot in Dubai.
But it was like, it's funny, like, I don't like heat, but at the same time, the sand dunes and the architect, like, the buildings they have made over there, it's phenomenal how they develop the city in the desert. So which is good.
I'm surprised that PEI is on your list, and I'm surprised that you didn't join. Now thinking back, you would have been with Century 21 at the time that the conference, the annual Century 21 conference, was in Charlottetown, and you weren't there. And you've been to some of these yearly conferences, but you didn't make that one. How come?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's always come out to something, one or the other, which got stuck to that time. Either it was a family commitment or something, or so it's conflicted. And when I decided to go, St. John's, that was canceled.
It was canceled.
So,
yeah. And we had the whole team, basically, with the exception of I think it was Heather and Jennifer that wasn't coming, but the whole team was basically going to go to St. John's, and then obviously during COVID everything changed. But I enjoyed that PEI trip a lot. Adrian and I went together, nobody else from the team, and the natural beauty on that island is, and we didn't get, obviously, because you're in conference, you don't get to see everything, but there was a day there where we decided to skip class, if you will, and we walked around the harbor and went for a nice kind of seafood, I guess, lunch, and dinners. We had some fresh lobster and things like that, which was really amazing. And then the people and just the different mentality there of everything was really unique to absorb. And then the homes, you very much felt like it's a beach home kind of environment, but different style of homes throughout the island, and it was really a unique experience. I'd very much look forward to going back there. Don't know if I would plan a family vacation or something like that there, and don't know that I would be able to spend a week there. We were there for 3 or 4 days, and I think that was enough time. But yeah, certainly. A great place to visit. And I think, places in Canada like that get not as much attention as they should. And Canadians, like, I know I have a bunch of friends that were born in this province in Ontario and haven't seen much else of the country. Right. So anyways, let's get on to today's topic, which again is hiring an agent to find a tenant. So that's kind of a twofold question. I mean, the question came in on Instagram from one of our followers, and it is twofold because it's kind of the way she asked it was, or he asked it, I can't remember who it was. Should you hire a realtor to represent you in finding a tenant? And then kind of, what does that process look like? What's the advantage of doing that? So since you've been with us, you've done a number of lease transactions. We do get a lot of lease leads, I guess you can say, coming into the team, and you'd already been working on a couple. It's something that you're quite good at. I've looked at your paperwork, and it's pretty great. Why do you think, Vish, a landlord or even somebody that's thinking about investing in an investment property, because I think that just to elaborate on that a bit, I think that goes through a lot of people's heads. They think, oh, I'm going to buy a rental property. I'll throw it on Kijiji, or I have a friend that might want to rent it, or, I'll put a post up on Facebook Marketplace and it's gone. So do you have any advice for those people, and why should somebody hire an agent to find a tenant? And then, maybe you can elaborate as well as the benefits and what that process looks like.
Well, that's a great question. And I think, depending, not only when you're selling it, but even when you're leasing it, there's a process and system which we have already in place. It's like, you can change your oil, or you can go to the car dealership. You can get it from the local, or dealership can do for you, and you pay some money. And most of the time what happens is the landlord want to save money. They don't want to give out that commission. But in process of that, they don't realize how much money they'll lose. Recent example was that they want to do by self, and during COVID, they put for 1 month, and not a single showing happened to their listing. And soon we listed, we got the offer right next day. So that's one reason, because of the exposure. What are we going to give? The other thing is the good realtors and the good realtor team, they already have people who are looking. We get leads every day, people looking for rent. So we can connect those people as the right fit or not. The other thing is, which we do is I talk about system process, having those qualified leads. Because landlord, this is not your work. You're not doing it everything. So you might not know asking the right questions. And that's where a realtor come handy, and their experience come handy to finding out the right tenant for you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, one of the parts of that process is a lot of people don't recognize how much of a time commitment it is to find the right tenant. And I'm not even talking for us, because we spend probably more time on a rental property, on a lease, than we would with a purchase or a sale. Certainly with the listings, because there's so much activity. There's so much you got to weed through. There's so much paperwork. There's a lot of rules and regulations that you have to follow. The Residential Tenancies Act, from a landlord's perspective, the Residential Tenancies Act protects the tenant way more than the landlord. So you really have to do your due diligence. You have to make sure that all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, or it can come back and haunt you. And, you mentioned timing. Every day that home is not occupied and bringing rent in, it's costing you money. So not only is there the downtime of finding that tenant, but then there's also your time. So what do you value your time at? So if in your regular day-to-day job you make whatever, $25 an hour, if you spend 100 hours trying to find the right tenant, which is easy to do, you've just spent $2,500 of your time in that process. And I don't know about you guys, but whatever I make on an hourly basis, I value my personal time more than that, because that's the time I'm spending with my family, with my friends, or even just relaxing at the end of the night. And I don't necessarily want to be spending my time on something like that. So, and then, even further, take it one step further, Vish. The ability to negotiate the best, not only the best terms and conditions, but ultimately the best price. Somebody that does a lot of leases on a regular basis, like yourself, knows the market inside and out, knows what the demand is, knows where the market is and where it's going, and what the demand might be today, tomorrow, and what the market was a week ago or a day ago, because it changes very, very regularly, certainly in the rental business, because and certainly during the last 12 months because of COVID, people are shifting. There's been more inventory on the market in certain areas. There's been less inventory in other areas. So you really have to have that intimate knowledge. And somebody that owns 1, 2, 3 rental properties doesn't have the same finger on the pulse. And I think that's a big part of that process. The other thing to consider, by the way, if you're still listening and watching please hit that subscribe button, smash us a like, leave any comments below if there's anything that you want us to discuss in future podcast episode, or even regurgitating, I guess, some of the comments we're making here. Thanks for listening and following episode 125. I'm here with Vishal Kapoor, one of the newest additions to the KT team. We're talking about rental properties and hiring an agent to represent you as a landlord. So I think what, a lot of people, and to what you said, Vish, a lot of people have, as a landlord, have the hesitancy of hiring an agent because of the cost. So for those of you wondering, what is the cost? The average cost is approximately 1 month rent, depending on the services provided. So there are added services you can always add on top, but on average, it's 1 month rent. And usually that is split equally between the listing agent and the agent representing the tenant. It could theoretically be the same agent that's collecting all of that money, but usually for 80% of the time, it's split between 2 realtors. So I don't know, average rent is how much right now in Halton region? $3,000 roughly?
Yeah,
maybe a bit more.
Approximately. It's probably even in the more, even during COVID in the condo market, gone a little bit down, but not so much in townhouses or detached single homes, because everybody needs a space.
Yeah. So let's just say, to keep it with an easy number, we'll say $3,000. It might be a little bit more. I haven't looked at those stats recently as to what the average rental is in Halton. And certainly there's, entry level condos like bachelor and 1-bedroom condos available for probably $1,600, $1,700, $1,800 a month. And then of course that goes all the way up depending where in Halton.
There's no 1,600, 1,700 anymore. It's more 1,900 to 2,000 you're looking into. I
mean, there have been some bachelor pads that have come up. Maybe not 16, 17. Maybe I'm a little bit low. We've got one coming up that is a 1-bedroom. It'll be well under $2,000 a month. So they're still out there if you look for them. But and then on the other side, there's luxury homes in Oakville going for thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month. So let's just say the average investor is probably in the vicinity of $3,000, maybe a little bit more per month. So it costs you $3,000 plus tax to hire a realtor to find that tenant. Now let's break that down. If it's a 1-year lease, $3,000 a month, that's $250 a month. I can almost guarantee you that not only just based on the experience, negotiation, and know-how, you'll get at least half of that back just in the final agreement of negotiating and the terms, the conditions, and whatever. Not only based on knowing how to negotiate those deals, but as you said, Vish, the wider the audience, the more likely you are to get a better offer. And we've got, as a team here, just to speak for ourselves, we've got a ton of people contacting us on a regular basis trying to find a lease property. And then we have that social network. We've got, a website that generates a lot of activity and contacts throughout the weeks, days, and months. So, when we get a lease listing, it's not only going on MLS, which also, by the way, knowing how to properly list it on MLS is important, and having the right photos and all of those things. But spreading it out there to the widest audience possible definitely brings you a better return. You were going to say something there.
Yeah, definitely. I want to say the one thing, and I can see as a seller or landlord perspective, why they don't want to hire a realtor. And because I have seen such a, pardon my language, such a shitty job sometimes we realtor do is somebody can do by themselves, right? When I see pictures, people just taking from their phone, even the phone qualities are so great today, but they're doing a shitty picture and putting out there. And during COVID, especially, you want to provide as much information you can to avoid those unnecessary visits and inconvenience to tenants, or even it's vacant, still inconvenience. And that's what I see, why the landlord or sellers look into that. They have experienced something like that and don't see the value. Our client, at most of the time, they're coming back again and again based on, and I was surprised too. I used to think myself that I do pretty good job because I'm dealing with the corporate relocations from a long time, connected with the relocation company. So I know what tenants want, what they're looking for, what their standard is. And so I can qualify those ones pretty well. So during this process, what happens is when you're not presenting well, you're not placing your property properly. How many times that happens? It's just like a left or right swipe kind of thing. Go left, right swipe. That's what people do these days when you're looking at property. So if you're not presenting it well, it's not going to sell. And I remember, a recent incident, and we were just talking about the other day that it was tenanted. It was too much clutter, and the landlord was asked to take pictures. We said no, and luckily, he agreed to it because he says, "I will wait until it gets vacant so we can take proper pictures and things like that." So I love to work with those kind of landlords because they see pride in their thing. Because if you're not taking care, or if you're presenting your property in not a proper way, how you expect the tenant respect your property? Because they don't see that. You don't have a pride in that, right?
That's a really good point, Vish, because I think a lot of people don't recognize as being a landlord or a potential investor, the return that you get on having a clean and properly maintained home. I think for a lot of investors and a lot of landlords don't really have the same, you don't get, when it's your own home and you live in it, you've got that sentimental attachment, you've got that heart into it. When it's an investment property, you're kind of detached from that, right? Because it's an investment, and to a lot of people, it's a financial investment and nothing else. So they're looking at what my return is and when am I going to get that return, much like putting money into a mutual fund or something like that. It's just a different form of investment. But where that touch is lost is whoever rents the property, that is their home. And it might be their home for 12 months. It might be their home for 5-6 years. We just rented a property for the second time for one of our clients that the initial time we rented it for them was 6 years ago, and the same tenant had lived in there for 6 years and treated it like their own, because this is their home and it means something to them. This is where they come home every night, and they relax, they share memories with their family and friends, and it's their home. And I think that gets missed a lot of the times. And the more you can present that property properly, as you said, you get more money for it. And from that sense, I don't care who is representing the property, if it's a realtor or if it's the homeowner itself. It's got to be clean. It's got to be well maintained. And that's going to separate the property from others. It's also going to allow a prospective tenant to walk in there and say, this is nice. I can move my stuff right in. I don't have to worry about it. It's been professionally cleaned. It's been recently painted. It's nice. And the appliances are clean inside and out. I don't have to worry. I have rented a property before that wasn't clean and well maintained because there was a tenant in it. And we had no choice. We had to rent it while the tenant was in it. And, you open up the stove or the oven, and there's grease and charcoal French fries laying on the bottom. And, you get those kind of things. And then you go into the bathroom and the shower is dirty. Nobody can look past that stuff oftentimes. So that becomes a challenge. I think, I think one of the biggest things also, Vish, is that, by the way, we never even talked about it. How did you come up with Vish for your home? For those of you, I'm going totally off topic here to mix it up a little bit. But for those of you that don't know, so again, Vishal has been a licensed realtor for 9 years, approximately, full time, approximately for 6 years, and I think for most of those 6 years, it's stuck with me. So it works. His tagline, if you will, is Vish for your home. So how did that happen?
Well, so I can give the credit to my elder daughter for that one, because in the starting, when I was thinking of as a branding myself, and I know because I work in that environment, that how branding is important. So that's how I started. So I was looking to some tagline, innovative realtor, something like that, and everything. And then my daughter says, people call you Vish because they cannot sometimes pronounce your name properly, Vishal instead of Michelle, sometimes they say over the phone. So why you already call Vish, people calling you Vish? And this is where, so she came out randomly like that and said Vish for your home. I was like, wow, that's awesome. And that's how the tagline came in. And you're right, a lot of people, even I talked to, I said, hey, Vish for my home. Even some of my clients, they created the WhatsApp group. It's called the Vish for my home. I was like, wow, that's so something. It's coming up.
You're gonna have to give your daughter a royalty on that, or ask her to come up with a new one for our team, because I think I came up with Real Estate Done Right about 10 years ago, and since then I would say probably 1,000 people have copied that since then. But I've always liked it, and it rings. It's got a good ring, a good flow to it. So good for your daughter to help you grow your business that way. Anyways, this is episode 125. I guess we're going to wrap it up now, Vish. I really appreciate having you on today, and nice for you to get your face on the podcast and get your voice out there. If anybody wants to reach out to Vish directly, vish@cremenditrot.com. And you can, what's your Instagram handle?
I should have
is it
chose
Vishal?
the Wish one. It's Vishal
maybe we can
@cremendi.com.
maybe we can make a second one for
Wish
you.
For your home @cremendi.com.
There you go. What is your Instagram handle?
That is still @Wish for your home.
Vish for your home. So if you want to find him on Instagram, Vish for your home, V as in Victor, ISH for your home. Thanks for being on today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I love to do this. You know me that I love to be, camera likes me and I like camera. And also I'm part of the Toastmaster, so I love to speak. And that's what, I'm pretty excited to join the team and contribute as much as I can.
Well, we'll be getting you in front of the camera definitely more often. I'm looking forward to us getting back to quote unquote normal and getting lots of video content out there. So I know you're looking forward to that stuff. So that's it. Episode 125 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.